Good afternoon, and welcome to this special edition of Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. Gentlemen, did you guys avoid the rain? Because I didn't. It
Oh,
was messy today.
that sucks for you.
Bro, I was biking out in it.
Oh,
It
that's
was
rough.
bad. It was bad. I was just like,
Yeah, I mean,
stop.
there's no rain up here.
You know what? You're right. I forgot you all the way up in like Buffalo adjacent.
Pretty
Right?
much, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's good enough.
Gentlemen, how you doing? Dick, you kind of look like a greaser. Give me some greaser vibes right now.
I can totally see it. Definitely. Great reference, by the way.
It's a very nice reference.
Yeah, it's a nice jacket. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad. Hanging in there. You guys know Friday is always my favorite day, so I'm looking forward to this show for many reasons.
You're like the only college kid I know that has class on Fridays. What are you doing with your life, bro?
Wait, what? I don't know. I mean,
so
I had class
I don't
on
have
Friday when I was in college.
I don't
was
have
lucky.
class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I mean my schedule is tailored pretty nice, but
Yeah.
Steph, you were also in like a program that you guys were like working while you were in school.
No. I mean, that was our co-op. But what I'm saying is there were people that had Fridays off. That was the best schedule. But the problem is when I was trying to like get the best schedule, I was always my computer was always glitchy, right? Like I never got in time to get the best classes. So I got the second best. And I had class on Friday. I would try to do like 2 classes Friday.
Yeah, that's lame. I'm no class on Friday, gang. Shout out to y'all.
Lucky people. How you doing, Greg?
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to today, man.
Same. I mean, we've been hyping it up quite a bit. And for those that have not been able to witness any of the hype, we have a debate that is going to be happening around 5:00. Which, please, if you haven't seen the teasers, I'm sorry because they're pretty good. Carl did his thing. I like that mashup he did with the banner with the logo. But we're going to be debating whether politics should be involved in sports, if sports and politics should mix. And the debate is going to consist of Greg and Declan. And on the other side, we're going to have Falco, who is a fan favorite, as he likes to believe. And Greg, let me know on the second contributor on Falco's side. It's
Andrew
Vanich. Vanich. Sorry, Andrew Vanich. So we have Andrew Vanich. That's also going to be on with Falco as well, and that's going to come up. But before that, we do have a slate of just fun segments and topics that we're going to talk about.
On. Steph, I got to shout out Carl in the comments because he's 100% on point. Boy, that turtleneck, fuego. All right, I'm loving it. Give me Huey P. Newton vibes. I'm a fan. All right, I'm a fan.
I ain't checked the comments yet. Appreciate you, Carl. Boss man. Thank you. So as we're shouting out Carl, I do want to shout him out for this because I watched the Wednesday show. I want to say it was last week. And he had a segment that I really liked that I want to incorporate today because I want to get to the debate without any delays. And I think this is really good. And it's player pass. So I'm going to mention the topic we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to play or pass. So, Deck, I'll start with you. The Gruden news that just came out. Gruden is choosing to sue the NFL and Roger Goodell. He's released a statement alleging that the NFL and Roger Goodell were attempting to destroy his career through malicious and orchestrated campaign. Now, do you want to play or pass on that?
Well, Carl taught me a lot better than to pass on some fresh, juicy breaking news. So I'm going to have to play this one real quick.
All right. Hit me with it. What are your thoughts?
So pretty much my thoughts on it are this. I'm happy that he's suing only for the sole fact that I think this is going to be a step closer in getting Washington's whole investigation out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
The suit, the part of the suit, obviously don't agree with what Gruden said, don't agree with his actions. Pretty much nothing he did do I consider noble or commend in any fashion. However, the whole 650,000 email thing is a good point. His was nitpicked and brought out. The other emails should be on that same playing field, especially the Washington thing. So I think there's a step forward in getting that done today.
Definitely. And I think there was also that they held it for several months. It wasn't just that they found it and they put it out as soon as possible. They held it for several months, and then this leak happened just of John Gruden. So your thoughts are that this is a good thing and that we'll hopefully find more information after, whatever transpires with this lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily coming from the best source, but at the same time, if Gruden's just going to go, as Rick said, full Joker and take everyone down with him, listen, there's a lot of flaws in the NFL. It starts with the owners and it starts with the whole environment that they got going on. And Washington has really been the poster child of not getting that stuff leaked in a timely fashion. And I don't think it should be leaked at this point. It should be just flat out investigated and open to the public.
On the open,
because,
yeah,
there's no reason that it should be undercover at this point. But hopefully it gets uncovered with the news we saw today.
All right, Greg, play or pass on this action here?
I'm going to pass on this one because there's going to be more, and that's when I'm going to speak.
All right. I like that. All right, so I'll hit you with another question then. We have Odell Beckham, who signed a 1-year contract with the Los Angeles Rams, which this is highly anticipated. I don't think anybody necessarily saw this happening, but do you want to play or pass on this?
I need a buzzer for this play or pass. I'm going to get a buzzer the next time we do this, just for this. And I want to play.
All right.
Because as you know, we've made mention of this. My good friend, Jared Carter, who is the most anti-Rams fan I've ever met in life.
It's ridiculous, people. I wish you saw the screenshots. And Jared, if you're listening, I hope you're listening. And if you're not, someone tag him, someone add him right now. You are ridiculous. I can't understand how you're actually a Rams fan with the bile that you spew. But anyway, Greg, do you think?
So me and a lot of other people, including Rams fans, not named Jared Carter, think Odell has a lot in the tank, right? It is going to suck for, a Van Jefferson or Robert Woods who may get some their target share eaten out of, but
might.
You're right, will. But here's my thing. If you're an organization that has been, they had their Super Bowl run, I think in 97 or 98, whatever that was, but they're generally not necessarily a good organization. You now have a chance where you can put together all the pieces to go all in. Why say no? For those fans that are like, oh, well, what about in 2 to 3 years? Well, you'll worry about it when you get there. This team is built to win now. Why not why not do what the Tampa Bay Bucks did and try to win a Super Bowl and go all in? Who cares? Say you lose. You have one more year, maybe, with some of the similar pieces, but Odell adds another layer to an already super effective offense. Let's go, Matt Stafford.
So I have a question for you, and I feel like you haven't really mentioned this yet, but do you think that they are Super Bowl or bust at this point with this acquisition, this latest acquisition?
Absolutely. I felt that from when they traded for Matt Stafford that they were going for the Super Bowl. And going for the Super Bowl is one thing, right? Like with anticipation of going for the Super Bowl. But I'm saying, like, do you believe that this team is Super Bowl or bust? If they're not in the Super Bowl, it's a fail. It's a failure. I don't think it's necessarily a failure.
Okay.
If say they make it to the NFC Championship game and they lose, I don't think that's a failure. Now, if this team didn't make the playoffs or they got knocked out in the first round, yes, that's a failure. But the same thing I said with Tampa Bay last year. I said they make it to the NFC Championship game, first time new team together. I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a success, and you can build on that the following year. And it's one of those situations, and you see what happened in Tampa. Guys took pay cuts because they want to keep winning. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that, especially if Stafford has a good rapport with Odell going forward.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could see that as the only qualms I have with that is it's a 1-year deal with Odell, right? So like this team, the current construction, even in Von Miller, if I'm not mistaken, he's
I agree.
So like them re-signing, or rather having the cap space, is a whole other question, and I don't know if that's possible. So if you're saying that the construction they have right now isn't going to be there in a year, this does feel like Super Bowl or bust.
Oh no, that's valid. That is valid. And what I'm saying is, if this team makes it to an NFC Championship game, right, and say they lose, and it's some heartbreaking loss, you're gonna have guys who are gonna want to run it back.
Yeah,
and I think guys will figure out how to make it work.
Okay, all right. Deck, play or pass?
I'm gonna pass just for the sole fact that I agree with everything Greg said. I think that's an accurate and measured take on Odell and the Rams.
Got it. Okay. Well, I got another one for you. So last night, we got quite an entertaining game. Shout out to Rick. He was at the stadium to watch the Dolphins defeat the Ravens, which did anyone get that besides Rick? Did Rick? Because I heard Rick.
He was the only one. And I just want to say it was a form of insider trading because Rick got to feel the actual vibe in the stadium that none of us got to feel. So he knew the crowd was lit going in. He knew they had an upper hand, and they had that mojo going into that game.
Real quick, Sorry, the tailgate, the video he showed, that was
fire.
Ridiculous.
Yo,
I've never seen a tailgate like that before.
Hard Rock needs more night games because that stadium is beautiful.
Yeah,
I told him, me and the family have to go down there for when the Jets play the Dolphins, just so we can experience that. And I said this before, my wife better be in a Jets jersey. That's all I'm saying it again.
I don't know, man. She's loyal to KJ, and KJ's a Dolphins fan.
Man, listen, you should have heard her the other day. We driving in the car. She called me. She's like, "Can I talk to my son?" I was like, "You mean our son?" She's like, "No, my son."
Okay, then. All right,
so
pick a side. So
I know, right?
So, Deck, the Dolphins upset the Ravens. We saw that last night. Amazing defense from the Dolphins. So a would-be touchdown from Robert Hunt, which would have been the touchdown of the year. What do you make of this game? Rather, I should go back, play or pass on this topic.
Yeah, I'll play. It was an amazing game. Really a huge upset that nobody except Rick, who was in the stadium, felt coming. I wish I had the balls to just say, you know what? I trust this man, and this is where I'm going with this. But I didn't, and we all lost for it, and he gained the game on us. So good on him. As far as the actual game, I mean, really, the Dolphins just shut down the Ravens' offense completely. And once the Dolphins got off, and they were up 15-3, the huge fumble with Sammy Watkins was big, potentially a huge difference maker in the game.
Difference maker.
Seriously, yes. It was a 12-point game, though, right? But it was one of the most pivotal plays of the game. Yeah, absolutely. But yes. I was really impressed with Tua and the Dolphins, although I despised their play call for the first 3 quarters. I liked that when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens had that 99-yard drive. 30 yards were on penalties, but 99-yard drive down the field to tie up, or not to tie up the game, but to chip into that lead to make a comeback. First play, they found Albert Wilson for like a 70-yard gain on a wheel route that just completely left uncovered. So I thought that was my favorite part of the game, aside from, Robert Hunt doing a nice little flip in midair at the goal line, which you don't see too often. But a big win for the Dolphins.
Best play of the year.
For an offensive lineman, he looked agile too. That was my thing.
First of all, I want to practice my Robert Hunt juke. I don't want to practice nobody else's juke but Robert Hunt. That I don't care if it wasn't a touchdown. I would have just given him the score off the strength, the fact that he was able to pull that off. You follow his blocks, juke left, and then dive with the ball over the goal line. Come on, man.
You want to talk about waiting your whole life for a 15-second swing of moments.
Honestly. Well, Deck, here's my thing. The defense was amazing. I mean, they were blitzing about 7 or 8, I feel like, almost every snap. Do you feel like this is the Dolphins defense we were expecting that we saw really good last year? They improved haven't improved this year until this game. Do you see that being an improvement, or was it more a story of the Ravens not making any adjustments? Because there were a lot of Lamar, dropbacks that ended up being past 5-yard out routes that he was trying to make completions on instead of going to the middle.
You're being generous. They weren't 5 yards.
There were a few. It was like 2 or 3. But yeah, what do you think this is a story of? Did the Ravens not adjust, or was this just an amazing game plan that the Dolphins rolled out for this game?
I thought it was a great game plan. This is a team that we thought that they were before the season, and that we thought that they could be. Just a really good defensive scheme. And it reminded me of Pat Graham and the Giants from last year and what they kind of got back to against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Dolphins team is built similarly in that the fact that their offense is horrendous. Their play calling is trash, but their defense is good. And their defense hasn't been great all year, but showed out last night and got their biggest win of the season. One of the biggest wins that they've had in a minute, especially nationally televised at Hard Rock. Rick and I were talking about this last night. They don't ever get those games, the night games in Miami. So that was a big win for them. I think it's mostly on that defense. I think it's defense that we thought they could be. This is a team. Yeah, well, 99,000,000%. But it's just one of those situations where this Dolphins team was injured from the beginning. Their offensive coordinator's terrible. Tua was a young QB. This is a roster that you can go to the playoffs with, that just everything that could have gone wrong this year went wrong.
I just want to say, if Jacoby Brissett stayed in that game, they were losing. He's also the reason Mike Gesicki got 0 points, which really, really killed me in fantasy, especially since I'm going up against Travis after all the big smack that talk all season.
Yeah, I could see you being upset about that.
I never understand how they use him. It's ridiculous. He'll have 2 one-handed catches and then have 2 targets the next game. It doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
He had 7 targets, but they just weren't quality targets.
I mean, you could say the same thing of Hollywood Brown to some degree. He didn't get high quality targets. There were a lot of low throw. I mean, you had a Lamar Jackson under duress, and he was throwing the ball off his back foot and not reaching him. So he had 13 targets, but they weren't high quality targets, all of them. Greg, player pass. I mean, you've been chatting this whole time, so I feel like you kind of played.
Yeah, I played a little bit. I'm going to play, but real brief.
More to say.
I'm going to play the fantasy angle. Both Travis and I are on 5-game winning streaks. We have to start an 0-4. He's in 4th place. I'm in 5th place. So this
Colin Sutton's really doing it for him then.
Yeah, right.
So no, he traded him away.
He traded him. So this is a big matchup in terms of playoff implications. Mm-hmm. And Lamar Jackson got me 22 measly points after being projected for 35 in this league. So needless to say, 22 from 2 players that were going. And he has Mark Andrews, which Karan, yes, I'm still upset about that because he traded Mark Andrews for a bag of Skittles and an Arizona. So
I think that's higher value than what he got back.
So Mark Andrews came back.
Sounds pretty good.
Strawberry Kiwi, Arizona is like, it's high quality. Just saying.
But so look out for us on Monday when I talk about what our matchup is going to look like.
All right, cool. I just want to add this real quick. This came in from Boss Man. This is from Manny to you, Greg. Manny says he was ridiculed for rooting for the Padres and the White Sox, but you get no flack for rooting for the Chiefs and the Rams. Pathetic.
Who said first of all,
from the man's mouth.
They get flack from you because you root for the White Sox like you're an actual fan. That is the difference.
And the Padres. And the Padres.
I said I'm rooting for Matthew Stafford to win, which I have said for years.
Yeah.
And he's finally in a situation where he's deserving of winning. Furthermore, I don't root for the Chiefs. I just root to see the Raiders fail because of you. It's very different.
Oh, damn. Heard you. Let's move on. Well, that was an amazing player pass segment, by the way. You guys did a great job. Carl, shout out to Carl again. That is his segment, and I actually kind of like it, so we might bring it back again. I want to move on to some marquee matchups, and we'll just go through these. And Deck, I'll start with you. We got the Browns at the Patriots. Who do you have here?
Give me the Browns.
Yeah, Browns, and for what reason? We got enough time. Give me
okay, all right. So
I like that approach, though. This guy was like, "Hey, Browns, period. Let's get out. We gotta get moving."
He's being the anti-Travis.
Yeah. I love Travis, but let's be honest, the player pass segment would just be known as play for him. I mean, there's no pass. It's going to be play and show your work is really what it is. But.
Hit me with it real quick. Just a quick
synopsis. I think the Browns are going to build off the momentum that they built from last week, and I think Baker Mayfield is going to have a decent day. Mac Jones
Chubb.
and
I think that's been confirmed, by the way. There's no Chubb.
Has that been confirmed?
Yeah, I was a Bleacher Report. Yeah, because of COVID, I don't believe he tested. He didn't give 2 negative tests for COVID, so he is going to be out.
Right.
Jeez,
well, I would assume there's a field goal on the spread in this game. It's essentially, in my opinion, a pick 'em, but I am going to go with the Browns. I think that defense is going to give Mac Jones fits.
All right, Greg, thoughts?
You guys know my thoughts on Baker. He had his one, but he's just not that guy. And I think Bill is going to come in there and create a game plan to, shut down this. We know Dearness Johnson had a good game against the Broncos on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. We saw that.
Yeah, an amazing game. Don't call it good.
You're right. It was an amazing game.
147 yards.
Yeah.
A career
amazing.
Wasn't like
it was definitely career. First start.
Yeah. And he's undrafted too. So
I don't see that happening again with a Matthew Judon on the front.
Okay.
And Manny actually picked him up in fantasy, so I hope he doesn't do well.
Damn. Get off Manny like that. Okay.
So I got the Pats in this one, and I'm starting to think that the Patriots are that team. They're going to win ugly. They're going to play ugly, and they're going to win ugly.
Yeah, with Mac Jones back there, I think that's kind of how they're looking right now. Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask the both of you real quick. When you're choosing on these marquee games, are these also going to be your choices for the?
Not all the time. Not all.
Okay.
The time.
All right. I just want to know.
If anything changes by Sunday, that is drastic.
Yeah.
Like what I did with the Titans game, the Titans Colts game, where I went Colts just specifically to spite you, but picked the Titans on Sunday.
I see.
I
did that day.
Did you? I thought you went.
I did.
I didn't know about this.
Yes, I did. I came.
We talked about it on Monday.
Yeah.
No. On Monday we talked about it, and you didn't make it seem like you took the
I need
Colts?
I need Carl to
absolutely-
Sorry, I'm
find
sorry, the
this.
Titans.
I absolutely said I took the
Yeah,
Titans.
confirm that. Confirm that with Carl. Carl, actually,
You guys could go back in the
on live.
archives. I absolutely
No. I just want to hear from Carl.
Because I
Carl, let us know.
remember talking trash to him in the chat.
Yeah.
With the three of us, right
Mhm.
after I said thank
He
you,
didn't say
Steph, for
anything.
making him switch the pick.
Oh, let's move on. Let's move on. So I want Saints Titans. Greg, I'll start with you. Who do you have?
Titans are rolling right now, and I think
They really are.
Vrabel has figured it
Lance
out
King
with his
Henry.
defensive line and that rotation. And I don't know. Trevor Siemian struggled in the first half against a Falcons defense that just isn't that good. Yeah, he picked up in the second half, but I don't think you have that much room for error against this Tennessee defense. And Ryan Tannehill showed that he's still going to get it done. Even if he's not thrown for 400 yards in the air, he's going to be able to get it done. So give me Tennessee.
Tennessee. Deck.
Yeah, give me Tennessee also. As Greg called him, Matt Ryan Tannehill can do it. Listen, I think he's good. Yeah, it's fair. I think he's gonna have a pretty good. I think he's gonna have a pretty good day. And I think the Titans are gonna get this win. I think it'll be a somewhat handily win. Give me that 35-20 to 23 range is what I think they'll do. As good as the Saints defense is, I do think I trust their offense with Tannehill
more than the Saints offense.
Yeah,
That's
with
much
Trevor
what it comes down to.
Siemian.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
essentially. And I think that the Titans defense really has made great strides since not even just this season, but last season.
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 weeks for them have been really great. I would say over the course of the 5 weeks, they've been a solid defense, but the last 3 have really been eye-opening. All right, so we got Saints Titans, Seahawks, Packers. Greg, I'm going to kick it back to you. It's the first start that we're seeing from Russell Wilson after dislocating his finger.
Is Aaron Rodgers playing or no?
I believe Rodgers.
He a game time decision?
I thought he was.
let me see.
I
He might
thought
be
he
game
was
time.
playing, but I don't know.
After
hold on.
Devontae Adams.
I know Russ is back.
Yeah,
Russ is back for
That's-
sure.
After Devontae Adams shit on Odell, give me the Seahawks in the upset.
What did he do to Odell?
He said, so they asked him, about Odell, and he was like, he sees he's kind of over there struggling in Cleveland. And he had one target, one catch for 6 yards. But if he comes over here, he'll have 2 catches for 12 yards. So
Interesting.
Back talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing that it looks like it's still
He's
a game time
expecting him.
decision. Yeah, he's
Game time
expecting him.
decision.
but it's- yeah.
So
It's not
Packers
confirmed
wires reporting they're expecting Rodgers to start. That was an hour.
Not confirmed yet, but
Give me
Unconfirmed.
the Seahawks. I'm going with the upset.
all right, Seahawks deck.
Give me the Packers, unless Rodgers doesn't play and
Yeah.
god awful Jordan Love is out there. I'll take the Seahawks, but I'm gonna have to go with the Packers.
All right, I like it. Rams 49ers deck.
Rams.
Who you got here? Rams, easy. I like it. Greg,
Yep.
do I even have to ask?
Nope.
All right, I like it. Last one. All right.
Shout out to Josh.
Greg, I'll start with you here. Bills at Jets. And it's not just the regular Jets. These are the Mike Jones Jets. All right. This is an interesting game to me. And in a game that is going to define whatever legacy this kid has going up against a amazing Bills defense. So, Greg, who do you got?
281
330-8004.
I was waiting for you to finish it.
Yeah, I got you.
So does that tell you who I'm going with?
Yeah, 100%. Boy, I would have been
Mike
upset if you took
Jones.
anyone else. Whew. Yeah,
I'm going with another upset, baby. I'm going with the upset. The legend of Mike Jones is cemented.
Man, so excited to watch this game. Deck, who do you have here? Who do you think is going to win this game as a pseudo Bills fan?
That's a good. I mean, I don't know if I'm a pseudo Bills fan,
come
but
on.
I'm just
I mean,
a
you're a
Josh Allen
Josh-
fan.
you're a Josh
I
Allen
root
fan,
for
so
them.
by
Yes,
extension.
that's true. And up here, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm getting sick of it. If we're being fair, but I'm gonna have to go Bills. I'm gonna have to do it to you guys. I know Mike White or Mike Jones, as his real name is. So as far as I'm concerned, that's his name. I mean, I'm gonna get a Jones
100%.
5 jersey. I mean, listen, obviously the city's big enough for 2 Joneses at quarterback, so that's fine by me. But yeah, give me the Bills. I think that there's no shot that they're gonna lose to the Jags and the Jets ever again.
Mike Phillips said, "Boo this man."
Yeah. Mike Phillips, we know is drinking the Kool-Aid of the Jets. So I'm gonna
No. It's not Jets Kool-Aid. It is specifically Mike Jones Kool-Aid.
It is 100%.
Listen, I
got the juice.
I'm rooting for Mike White. I hope he winds up I hope he winds up being the starting quarterback of the Jets for the franchise, for the future. You know how I am with these like late round undrafted picks.
Wow, that's crazy considering how against you were when I said when he got drafted that he should sit.
Who?
Oh, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was against keeping Sam Darnold, and they traded him about 2 hours later.
That was the conversation. He was like, "There's no reason Sam Darnold should be here." And then I think like if it was not the next day, the day after, Sam was gone.
I mean, there's a lot of philosophies, like to get into it quickly. Like I think there's no one way to groom a QB. I think situations are different. Mm-hmm. When a situation like the Pats, Mac Jones is the guy. Which I'm surprised we haven't called him Mike Jones, but Mac Jones is the guy.
He don't got the juice.
He don't got the juice, bro.
I mean, he might be in the playoffs, so let's ease up on that. But
it's different.
It's different. He threw for 400 yards yet?
It's a difference kind. I don't even know if he has.
He don't got the juice, bro.
It's a different kind of juice.
Nah, he on the sippy cup still. It's not. But. It is 5. I want to get moving. I just want to shout out Alberto in the comments and the Wakanda Forever fantasy chat, because in that group is where really Mike Jones came to be, and I just love it. All right, so shout out to y'all holding it down. With that, we're going to move into our debate segment. Again, we are going to have Greg and Declan versus Brandon Falco.
Look at this.
Loves to be the fan favorite. And Andrew Vanich. And I'm going to bring him in right now so we can get this debate going. See our hellos and everything.
Vibes being on the same team with you, Greg.
Oh, these are cute pictures. You guys like the party. Is that a shot, Andrew? Is that a shot you got in your hand? Andrew, Brandon, welcome.
I'm good.
You hear me? You good?
Thank you for having me. Ooh. Finally, I'm on Smoke and Mirrors.
Yes. Hey, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you guys coming out here. I'm liking the stash. Is that new? It looks new. Andrew, new
Movember.
Stash. Ooh.
I like the stash. It's a good stash, Andrew.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Don't shave it until the Broncos lose again, because that was.
I feel like I look like Matt Dillon from There's Something About Mary.
All right, I like that. I like that. Brendan, how you doing, sir?
What's going on? Thanks for having me,
man. Yeah, of course. I mean, we just saw each other on Wednesday. Good to see you again. That green screen's doing some work back there, I think, maybe.
Come on now.
Professional. Before we start, I just want to say I'm on the Mike White bandwagon for the Jets.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think everyone is.
Hell yeah. I'm ready to trade Zach. Dude, we just got Tom Brady 2.0. Come on now.
Imagine like he throws for like 350 yards, like 3 something. I just believe in him so much. The swagger he brings onto the field and the confidence he has is just different.
Oh yeah. Dude,
well, let's put it this way.
The Jets' histories of quarterbacks. Imagine this is how they get their quote unquote guy. And if that's their story, that is like the greatest Cinderella story ever.
Well, that's exactly how the Pats got their guy.
Exactly.
Right.
You got
turmoil for a long time.
The Jets injured Drew Bledsoe. The Pats injured Zach Wilson.
Dude, come on now.
That is how legacies are built. I agree with that. All right. So let's get into it. All right. I just want to say what we're going to be discussing today is a topic that's covering politics in sports and if it should mix. All right. Now, this is home field advantage for Greg and Dex. This is Smoke and Mirrors. So they deferred to Brendan and Andrew to open. So you guys have opening statements. I'm going to take from one of you. All right. So whoever wants to go first, and then we're going to go over to Greg and Deck for their rebuttal, and we'll go back and forth and let the second person go. So that's how it's going to flow. All right.
Good. So first, I want to say again, thanks for having me on, and you're welcome for this show. Going to have your most views in Smoke Mirrors history.
We'll talk about that after, but continue.
But anyway,
we're starting out with broad statements like this. Oh my god!
Come on, you know me. I'm a lightning rod anywhere you see. I bring the views. So
okay.
To start though, the reason I don't believe in this is let's call a spade a spade. Let's not try to like play dumb or anything. It's not just politics in sports. It's Democratic liberal politics in sports. It's only one side. As much as that would make you feel uncomfortable, that's the truth of the matter, right? But regardless, despite all that, politics has divided this country. Some 2020 and 2021, the country has never been more divided. I would say 2021 is even more divided than it was in 2020. Look at all of us right now. We have a huge passion for sports, and we've all had our, if you want to call it beef or disagreements or where we attacked each other, it's our political beliefs. So bringing that into the sports world, people who have Republican and conservative political beliefs are not going to like what's going on in the sports world in terms of talking politics. It's honestly taken my passion for professional sports away. I don't like to follow. I don't follow it as closely. Of course, I watch, but I don't have the same love I did prior to 2020 because of how much politics that got brought into it. And not only that, it's not only just a Republican and conservative voters are not going to like that. Also, there's plenty of people who don't give a shit about politics. There's people who just say, I hate politics. It's just Republicans and Democrats just argue each other. I hate both sides. Those people are not going to like the politics in sports as well, because we all have access to all of these major news networks, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, whether it's Fox, CNN, Newsmax, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, I could go on forever about all these networks, right? So if we're going to bring this into sport, then it's just taken away. Like when I turn on First Take or Undisputed, I want to watch sports. If I want to watch politics, I could bring that, I could go on CNN or Fox News and watch politics that way. So that's my biggest thing about that. I just think it's just another way to divide us and divide the sport especially. And the thing is, I could be the best sports debater. I can know the most about sports. I could be the best in this business. My Falco Takeaway platform could get a million followers, subscribers. People could love me to death. I do not have any sort of ability to ever go on a major platform like an ESPN, FS1, because I'm a Republican voter. And as much as you may disagree, try to say that's not true, Republicans and conservative political beliefs in the sports world have been completely suppressed. I have been relentlessly attacked in the Sports Healers group. I don't care. You can come at me all you want. I have been attacked by everyone in that group because of my political beliefs. Nothing about my character, my political beliefs. And listen, if no one's going to stand by me, I'll stand by myself. There's many more people who love what I have to say in the group, but won't actually come out and say it because they don't want to be attacked the way I could take it. And that's the problem here. If you want to say with politics and sports that, okay, maybe we're going to have a mix of Republican and Democrat, why do we never have in any single issue that was going on in the world? Why is there never any Republican rebuttal on an ESPN or FS1? It's always the Democrat and liberal side. As much as that may make you feel uncomfortable, that's the God's honest truth. And at the end of the day, you guys are going to like the politics because it's the side you vote for. And me personally, I'm not going to try to be a hypocrite here. I don't like it because it's not the side I believe in. If it was all conservatives and Republicans, I don't know. I probably have a different opinion. I'm not going to lie. But that's the biggest reason. I don't want to take too much time. I took a lot of time, but.
It's all right. I'm actually used to this now because of Wednesday. You like a long open.
I know. I read.
All right. So on Greg, Declan said who's.
I got
it. All right.
Before I get into my opening statement, you said a couple of things there. You said that, people they disagree with you because of your political beliefs. And I think it's not necessarily because of your political beliefs. It's because how you frame things. You just said things that were as if they were, inherently factual when they weren't. You said this is the most divided this country's ever been. It's not. So I'm going to put on my history teacher hat here and go back to when this country really was truly divided. Okay. All right, just to give you guys some history on it. Before Jackie Robinson, there were black players in professional baseball. 1884, Moses Fleetwood Walker was the first black player in the majors. But however, by 1887, he loses his spot in the big leagues. Why? Because there's a secret agreement amongst the owners to not give black players any more contracts. And that is known as de facto segregation. De facto segregation is segregation by practice and not in law. Then that leads me to 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson. Are we aware of what Plessy versus Ferguson did?
I think you have to educate everybody on that one.
Plessy versus Ferguson made segregation legal in the United States. And to think that didn't trickle down to sports, you would be extremely naive. Furthermore, and Plessy versus Ferguson is de jure segregation, which means that is segregation that is on the books in practice. And there's a couple I'll make this fast. And baseball was the only sport this happened to. This happened in horse racing as well. Kentucky Derby first started in 1875. The first 15 out of 28 Kentucky Derby winners were black, but then it just stopped. It ceased. Why is that? Because the political decision by the Supreme Court handed down to the land allowed them to operate in that political realm, and Jim Crow itself forced black jockeys out of the sport. So those are just a couple examples to illustrate how politics and sports are inherently intertwined since its inception of professionalism in America. What it's become is due to the context of that.
All right. Andrew, I'm going to let you speak on it, and you can respond to Greg, or if you have a point that you wanted to make as well, you can make that point now.
Well, the Eagles are the bad guys this week for my Broncos, but when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots back in 2018, I surprised my cousins the night before, and I went to the parade with them. On the way there, my cousin says, called them. This was like making jokingly, goes, "These are false idols, these are whatever." And I go, on the contraire, we might, as in society, we're not all going to agree on the same thing, but for something like as big was the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and for what it meant to Philadelphia, it brought everybody together. Didn't matter who you were, everybody. The only color that mattered that day was green. Everybody happy. I can't tell you the joy I saw. So we get to talk sports a lot, and like I know Falco is very outspoken with his views, as is Mr. Polius. But at the end of the day, sports is something that, eases the disagreements. It's something that
it unites us.
It brings us to, I run a Bronco page. My Bronco podcast is, I'm not talking to those like Bronco fans I meet at the Broncos bars in the city. I have Bronco fans from Philly, from Boston, from the Carolinas, from Florida, from Texas. I talk to everybody, and they all come from different backgrounds, and it's a way to create like this community we have. And it's like one of those things where if there's like a big Bronco meetup, I had a wedding in Jersey this Saturday. Otherwise, I would have been in Dallas for that Renaissance painting the Broncos put on. So it's something that brings us together. My first Rangers game was their home opener after September 11th. And that was at a time where the city was like really looking for something to heal. And even with COVID and like fast forward to now, when like, and in the end of the winter, early spring, where, all right, 10% capacity, 15% capacity. And it was like rows of only 3 people, whatever. But, you're air high-fiving. You want to be part of it. You want to be part of a community. Doesn't matter. As long as I'm not saying a big shout out to Manny, but like even Manny's a Raider fan. He roots for a team I hated my whole life, but we're getting together because we share a bond over the AFC West rivalry. Like if I see him, I'm not gonna. It brings us together, and he might have different political views than me, and we might have this major debate. And if we're passionate about our debate, it's like bickering, yelling, and then like we might just be like for 5 minutes, then we're back at it talking sports. I love sports. I hate it when politicians come into it. I hate when they try to, they promote something, like they push an agenda they want, or they try to take advantage of people's emotions. I don't see Anderson Cooper talking about the Laker game. I don't see Tucker.
That's not his job though.
Exactly. So it's not the politician's job to tell us like what to cheer and what to rant at sports games when it comes to their platform, their realm. Politics has their realm, sports has their. Now athletes, on the other hand, if to say, oh, just shut up and dribble, that makes me selfish as a fan. I disagree with that whole that statement, because these are role models. These are they should be more than their craft, whatever sport it may be. So if they have a voice, they should use it, but it should be a way where I can see them as an athlete, and then as somebody who's cultured and educated, whoever they are, whether I agree with them or disagree with them.
Deck, I want to give you a chance to either again rebuttal or to if you want to have your own opening, something that you prepared.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Excuse me, my own opening really. But as far as like, going back, I can appreciate what Andrew's saying. And what Falco was saying as well about his stance. I think that, and then I'll get into my opening argument. But I think that as far as you getting attacked for your political beliefs, you can have your political beliefs. Listen, you and I are cool. We differ on politics. That's fine. But when you make it like a personality trait, and that's like all, I don't want to say all you're about, but that's a big part of what you're about, and it's rubbed in people's faces, it's going to rub people the wrong way. That's just basic life confrontation, political debates, stuff like that's going to happen. But that's all I have to say on that. As far as what I was going to say and how sports and politics have always been intertwined since essentially 1800s, 1900s, as Greg said, the late 1800s was the first thing he noted. But I'd like to talk about a guy named Jack Johnson. And for those who don't know, he was a legendary boxer, heavyweight champion of the world. He was a black guy that essentially had every effort to have his title stripped from him and everything and whatnot. He's literally somebody who dominated the sport, and there was a major problem with it because of his skin. The political decisions of the times kept him away from what he rightly deserved. He beat guys so lopsided in the championship. It was such a lopsided thing that now everyone has to come and attack him and do all these things just because he was black. Thus, integrating sports and politics. Listen, this is a guy who they had to find a way to arrest him to make him flee the country because he was such a threat. They arrested him. They charged him for immorally having a woman travel state lines to essentially have sex with him. That is what they caught him on, and he fled the country for 7 years to avoid the prison charge. So that's what they caught him on, just so that he couldn't be a boxing and he couldn't be as good as he was, and he couldn't box white people and black people in the United States. Another boxer that really symbolizes politics and sports being intertwined is Joe Louis. Joe Louis is also a black boxer from the 1930s and 40s. He fought Max Schmeling in 1938. Max Schmeling was from Germany, and this was right at the heart. World War II is going on, and the country's rallying around him. Joe Louis beats him and becomes a national hero. This is all stuff that sees political and sports, the political and sports world just intertwine and get involved. They wound up overlapping, and laws that prevented guys from playing. Listen, we didn't see Jackie Robinson. Of course, we saw what Greg mentioned in 1896 or 1886, whatever it was. We didn't see Jackie Robinson in the bigs till 1947. So this is something that prevented. Listen, the whole Babe Ruth debate with Greg and Steph being overrated. That's all on the basis of Babe Ruth not having to play black and Spanish players during his time, making it unfair. Whether you agree with that or not, the basis behind it is political, and we're talking about a sports topic. But that's all I have to say in terms of my opening. So.
All right, quick rebuttal. Declan, I don't know where you're doing this show, but it looks like you're laying on your bed. I just had to throw that out. Like whatever's behind.
You haven't watched. You haven't watched.
You haven't watched. Then. It's bunk bed deck is a thing.
Yeah,
I had to say that. It looks like there's a camera and you're just laying there on your bed.
Yeah, I gotta get a green screen up at some point. But
so you gotta fix something. I just had to throw.
I'll fix it. I will fix it. But I expected a rebuttal with essentially nothing. But yes.
Listen, Greg, I hear you that I should have said that this is most divided in our lifetime, at least. Like, I understand your history. That's all factual in the way that intertwines. I get it. But I would look at that this topic that we're having today is more about what's going on in today. Like, should politics and sports be intertwined now? Like, in terms of players speaking on their political beliefs, and then like the ESPNs, the FS1s, all them like talking politics. I thought that's more of the direction that this conversation was going to go in. So I wanted to elaborate on that. But again, like, sports are supposed to unite us. Like, look at us, Greg and I, like we go at it with the politics. But at the end of the day, we're baseball guys, college baseball guys, huge Jet fans, and a lot of our stuff has been beefing on politics. The politics have divided us. And listen, I'm no Satanist. I'm not saying I'm like you're wrong, I'm right in terms of us beefing. Like, I am far from a Satanist. I know what I say in that. I know when I post, I know exactly what's coming. I'm ready to take the heat. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it. I'd be lying if I didn't. But in terms of, but it's like the same thing that they talk about the issues going on in the country, and it's always the Democrat and liberal side. I know that that's what you guys believe in, so of course you're going to admire it. There's other people who don't. Why do we never see a Republican or conservative point of view in terms of the COVID vaccine, in terms of the BLM matter? If you want to talk about other issues in the world, why would
do you listen to Boomer?
No.
That's Boomer.
Hold on. Grant, let him finish this point.
I hear you. But I lost track. But yeah, like you never hear like on an ESPN, like if they talk about any political matter, it's always the Democrat and liberal side. Anything, you never will find a conservative belief. I don't know why is it. That's what I said before my opening statement. I think I could my podcast and my platform could blow up. I'm not saying it is, but like, just like we're using the what if factor.
Yeah, hypothetical, sure, yeah.
There's no way I would ever have an opportunity because of my political beliefs. Well, I don't know why we can never hear the other side from that. So at that point, that's why it's like it's always the one side. The whole COVID thing. I'll tell you right now, that is a political narrative. I don't believe that every player is necessarily vaccinated. I believe if LeBron wanted to not get vaccinated, he could get away with that. But like he's not going to say that publicly because of his voice. Enes Kanter goes on CNN and says LeBron should be pushing everyone, his voice should be louder to get the vaccine. Is LeBron our dad to like tell people what to do in their bodies? It's stuff like that. And like a lot of times they're saying things that are politically wrong. And that's what I have a problem with. And again, it's not just Republican voters. It's also people who hate politics. There are people who just love sports. And when they turn on sports, they just want to watch that. There's people who can't stand the Republican or Democrat party. That's why I just feel like it should just be more focused on the sports because it's dividing us. And people are, I don't know the ratings numbers or anything. It's losing viewers and people are watching less because they don't want to listen to that. Like you just want to watch sports. Like that's what I'm trying
to Greg and Deck, actually, I want you to respond to that though, as far as he's saying that the political talk that you see in sports tends to lean liberal and not conservative. At all. Actually, not a lean. It is. He's saying 100% it is liberal, Democrat, and not conservative. What do you say to that in response?
In terms of sports talk, you think sports talks? So here's the thing. It depends on the sport you're talking about. Because in the NBA, which you're a big fan of, you're going to get more liberal talk because the league is comprised of more players who follow that ideology. Baseball, you don't get that on the MLB network. Why? Because it is a conservative league. So it depends on where the league lies. And then you also said something, and again, this is the problem I have. You say things as if they're stated factually, but you don't give that caveat and that room to say, well, the majority. You said there's not any, conservative anchors on. What is Will Cain? What is I'm talking about? What is Will Cain? What is Sage Steele? Sage Steele is a Black woman, and she's extremely conservative. Extremely. You could look up her comments. It is well documented. So this is what I'm saying. When we talk from a political perspective, we cannot talk in absolutes because nothing is absolute in politics unless it's politicians making money. That's it. But what I wanted to also touch, let me ask you guys a question, right? Do you guys support the military?
Yeah. I have military in my ancestry, so yeah.
Okay, shout out to y'all. Do you guys support the NFL and the MLB with their support the troops and all that stuff?
Of course.
Okay. Do you realize that is an inherent contradiction to what you came on here to argue? The military is inherently political. Who leads the military?
President of the United States.
The commander-in-chief, a politician. The Joint Chiefs of Staff are funded by who? Politicians. They come up and vote on the military budget. So the same thing you support in the military budget and in the military is tying in to your favorite sports that you love to watch, thus dismantling your entire argument of it. And if we're going to be frank about it, since you want to be frank, it is political propaganda, right? Advertising the military is a form of political propaganda. So to say that you support the troops and you support the military, but you don't support politics and sports does not mesh.
Real quick, Brendan or Andrew, if you want to respond to that.
Well, my argument's based on fans not wanting to talk to each other and like creating a device amongst fans where I'm talking football with somebody and they go, I'm not watching this sport anymore because it's this. And I agree with Mr. Polius 100%. The military does spend money. They do cut deals. They've been cutting deals. I think 2009 or 2010. Greg you might know that around that time.
They just voted on a budget recently. I don't know if you're talking about politicians or
the military deal.
Oh, the NFL. I think it was 2011.
Yeah,
I think that sounds right. Right before they switched to the Nike.
Yes.
My focus with that though is more so not to like hype up the military, but to like show love to those overseas while they're fighting. And if they're in a hole somewhere managing to watch the game, then God bless them. That's where my stance is on that.
I get it.
But I get what you're saying too. Like it's they're pushing military. They're pushing all that. But what about this? I don't know if this is off topic or not. What about like the Army Navy game in college football?
I mean, the Army Navy; those are Division I athletes. So that's more.
The president has done the coin flip. I mean, at that game.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, if you're going to say you don't want politics in sports, it should be across the board. But to my initial point in my opening statements, the powers that be in this country made it so sports and politics are inherently conjoined at the hip. How we discuss it is on us, right? But to say that it shouldn't be involved, because here's the thing. You said something earlier, Andrew. You said, hold on, let me go back to my handy dandy Poliziki-like notepad.
You actually
I got a Blue's Clues notebook.
Say?
Oh my God. I got a Blue's Clues notebook from Halloween.
So
that's really funny.
You said sports eases disagreement, right?
Sure.
But it eases disagreement for who?
Eases it to it's not gonna totally wash it away.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Our upbringing in sports is totally different. I've dealt with stuff that you haven't dealt with, and vice versa. So there are going to be issues politically that fall on my. Baseball is conservative, very conservative sport. I have dealt with things in baseball that you will never deal with, ever. So once again, this goes back to my point. You can try to disjoin them, but the fact of the matter is, this country from its very inception of professional sports has made it so politics and sports are tied at the hip.
Greg, you're a Mets fan, correct? Like
Yes.
me. You've suffered. You and I have both suffered in baseball when we're New York Mets fans. We can agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest Mets game you ever been to?
I can't. It was when I was younger, at Shea Stadium,
okay.
maybe.
The one where Manny betrayed the entire crowd.
Still one of the most ridiculous moments.
I went to the game.
That's up there.
But my point there is, was there a moment where, like, because I'm the kind of fan that when something good happens with my team, I'm high-fiving everybody. Do you do the same thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, like, so if the guys around you don't agree, like, obviously you're not going to know this in that moment, but if you like got a chance to see into their minds and you found out they didn't agree with you politically, would you still high five them? Would you like care?
So here's the thing. That's not what we're talking about. That you're trying to move the goalpost. You're trying to shift the goalpost. We're talking about should politics be involved in sports as a whole, not when you're in a game and it's in the moment. That is what you call an outlier. That's the exception. That's not the norm.
Exception to the rule. Yes. I will say this, that I hear you coming from Andrew, because I believe that you're saying that sports can and should unite.
You have no idea how much it's frustrating when you're like your favorite people that you talk sports with, and like they're tuning out because politics is just like entering it's
this realm that they feel like it should not exist in.
It's stepping in more than it should. Let's put it that way, because Greg has made some great points on this show so far.
So, Andrew, that's what I actually want to hear from Brandon. Brandon, if you can respond to Greg, because he's made quite a few points now, speaking to why there should be politics in sports and how it's very much present, and experience of certain players in the sports realm, because you are on the front of these players are shoving all of these politics down your throats. Right. But I would like to hear your response to what Greg has just said in regards to that.
He spoke 100% factual. Nothing he said is wrong in terms of the military. I feel like the military, honoring the military, it's not something like I thought like more of this topic when we came to talk about it. And what Carl said in the group when he was looking for someone to align with me on the show, he said, should players be discussing politics? Or like, should it be talked about? I'm just talking about from the perspective to say, like, is there any politics in sports? Like, ignore everything. No, you're right. You're right. I'm not going to disagree that. I'm just saying that it's got to a point that it's coming on shows that players are speaking out of it one side and it's being shoved down our throats. More so 2020, 2021, which I think people who are going to align with me, that's what more of what we're talking about. Not necessarily that there has never been politics in sports or we shouldn't honor the military, but I see what he's saying. He's right. He's not wrong. Like nothing he said was not factual. And I'm not disagreeing with him, but I think that's what we're talking about in this topic. Like that's just being shoved down our throat in this day of like things that are going on like throughout the world. And it's only the one side because like there's many other issues that these networks aren't talking about. That's happening in current day. I'm not talking about like past or hundreds of years ago. I'm just talking about right now of like issues that are going on. It's only things that will favor the Democrat and liberal side. There's issues in the world that favor the Republican and conservative side that they won't talk about. That's what more of like people who align with me are coming from the perspective wise.
All on deck. I promise I'm going to let you speak, but I just got to get this off. Brandon, I just think it's ironic that you keep saying shove this down your throat, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but the way you're coming off about, things being spoken about in sports, politics being spoken about in sports that don't align with your views comes as very snowflakeish. I just want to throw that out there. That, I mean, you guys are the ones who like to throw that term out there, but that's how it could come across. And when you say shove down your throat, you don't realize that these people are talking about their lived experiences. This is what they go through. These are things that they have to deal with. And athletes never had a voice because they were always told, you make too much money. Shut up and play sports. We just come here to watch you. And frankly, that's bull. Because, why should they not have a voice when they deal with it on a daily basis? Why should I not be allowed to talk about what I went through? Or these professional athletes that have the platform for guys like me who may not have a bit of the platform they have. They're not just speaking for themselves. Mm-hmm. So when you say it's shoved down your throat, it's highly inconsiderate. One, because you're not thinking about what these guys go through. And two, you say that the other side doesn't see it, but you're not even trying to see it because it doesn't align with your views.
So I just want to propose a question real quick. And actually, Brendan and Andrew, I would like for you to answer it. And Deck, you can follow up after this. Because you're talking about 2020, 2021 and how it's being shoved down your throats. But we could go back to when Kaepernick first kneeled. And that was a huge situation that the country was taken by storm. Obviously, Trump was president back then. So you have a player.
That was Obama's last year.
I'm sorry, but no,
it started the election.
It was an election year. It was an election year. He's a lame duck.
Correct.
All right. So Obama did not have much of an opinion on it, as did Trump. Trump was someone that was very vocal in this situation. Now, kneeling at that time was seen by the NFL, by a lot of fans, as a selfish act, something that he was protesting against America and that he was disrespecting the flag. Are you saying that an act like that is inappropriate? You don't want to see that in sports. Are you on the side of, because we know exactly now after BLM that's taken place in 2020, the most recent activity for BLM, what transpired with the kneeling? Would you say, looking back retrospectively, that you still agree that that's something that should not have taken place and that he should have been worried about his politics outside of sports?
I just feel like it got to a point where, like that we saw in 2020 in the bubble, where it was like every single player was kneeling, and then Jonathan Isaac was the only player who stood, and then he had to be asked, why did you stand? I think that's ludicrous. But like the national anthem, I understand where you guys are coming from. It's your freedom of speech. It's your way to project your voice, not literally your voice, but like make a statement that this is like a way that you could peacefully protest. It's just an opportunity for you to protest. I just don't think personally, which I know you guys will heavily disagree and it like bothers you, I don't think a national anthem is necessarily the appropriate time to do that.
When is the time, sir? I just want to know. No, because that is something that is very popular. It's a very popular conservative talking point. But I will press a little hard on you to ask, when is the time, if not where it's a peaceful protest, and again, there's nothing wrong with doing it. There's not a law against it. When would be the time for someone in Kaepernick, even Eric Reed, all of these other players, to protest issues that they face in their everyday lives?
I mean, social media is a big thing now. People have the freedom to post. There's still press conferences where people talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I just think the national anthem should be a time where unite, we stand with your hand on your heart, honoring the men and women who served and fought for this country. I know where you guys are coming from and how you're going to attack me with the rebuttal, but that's just my initial stance. That it's honoring the men and women who fought for this country, and that's what the national anthem lyrics are about at the end of the day. But I know why he did it then, because there's a place where the spotlight is on for him to be seen. Like, I understand why he did it then. So I don't think that's a ridiculous question that you asked. I understand why you asked that, but yeah, I don't politically agree with that. And again, but that's what I'm saying is dividing us. That started to divide the sport. There are many fans, not necessarily me, but there are many fans who stopped watching because of that. And then it became a bigger movement like the NBA bubble. They brought the politics, but it was only the Democrat and liberal view. I know Greg was talking about other guys or other platforms where they spoke on that, but you will never hear a Republican or conservative player. I know that NBA is obviously going to be very heavy liberal. I think NFL you will see a bunch of mix, but the Republican voters won't speak out on politics like they will, like the liberal side will. And on these ESPNs, FS1s, and all that, they won't have a conservative perspective on it. It will only be the liberal. And it's always just attacking the Republicans. And I know
I'll tell you why. It's because it's suppressing Black people's experience when you speak out against it. That's why. That's exactly why. You're basically
Go ahead. Go, please. No.
You're saying they won't speak on it because when you come out and say things like, when people say, this is not the way, you are trying to police how Black people feel without even being in their shoes. And again, it's the uncomfortability factor. It makes you uncomfortable, so you say, I don't like it. That's really what the crux of this here is here. You said it several times. I don't want to see this. Why is this in my sport? Because the guys who are in that sport you like are dealing with it. So now they're telling you what they feel, and you straight up are like, I don't want to hear it. This is not what I'm here for. And thus shunning what they really feel as if they are not people and they are just there to provide you, your entertainment.
Real quick, before I get to you, I know it's been a little while, but Andrew, in regards to what I asked about Kaepernick and the kneeling, where do you stand on that?
I remember exactly when that happened because I have like this database of Bronco games I can give you any. So it was week three going in against the Buffalo Bills, and the night before, I take every president that I've dealt with in my adult life with a grain of salt each day. Because I found the quote last year that I hold dear to my heart, and it's idolizing a politician is like going to the strip club and thinking the stripper really likes you. That's just fact. There's nobody here that could say this politician, the man is, because each, it flip-flopping. That's just politics. But the night before week 3, Donald Trump held the rally. I remember this, and I foot and mouth disease big time. And he said, get that son of a bitch off the field. He's fired. And naturally, anybody who hated Trump to begin with or opposes to conservative views was like, oh, hell no. And that just caused a league-wide thing. I remember around the horn that Monday, it was all political. It was a political storm. ESPN became CNN. It was crazy. Me, again, whatever views you have, I'm always like, I'm here. We're here. We're having this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking. I'm here. We're looking for compromise. I'm always looking to meet in the middle on sensitive and serious issues like this. With that, people are gonna. It's all it comes down to too is like finding like a seat at the table, also. And that weekend, it kind of like people were like, oh yeah, and it just escalated to like where it was just like, I'm just trying to watch football, man. If this is how if it's really gonna be like this, there's got to be a better way where we can talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, to piggyback off that, and it's not to suppress anyone's voice, no matter what you believe. That is not what anyone is coming and saying. You don't have a right to speak. What, you gonna say something?
No.
Finish.
Finish. Let him finish.
And it's not just the Black Lives Matter movement, whether you like it or not. It's a political narrative is the COVID. Whether you're going to say no, it's the health, it's not. It's a Democrat and liberal political narrative and push. They say, oh, vaccinate. They don't shut up about it. Like, I don't like, Stefan, like another thing that we talked about on Wednesday. I don't understand. In the NBA, before a vaccine came out, they would wear masks on the sidelines and in press conferences, but you take it off when you get on the court. There is no logic, science, or anything behind that. It is a political agenda, whether you like it or not. You cannot tell me that the virus gets spread on the court or on the bench, and then when you start playing, and that's indoor. You said in football, your argument was that it was outside, right? Basketball's not. Hockey is not. They're not wearing masks when they're playing. This is before even a vaccine came out. And listen, they're still alive and they didn't drop dead. If COVID was what you guys tell me personally, I would have dropped dead already. And I'm still here. I'm very healthy. I'm in fantastic shape. I don't mean to brag, but I'm out in public all the time. And I'll say my medical history. I'm not vaccinated because I don't feel I need it. I get tested every week at school because it's mandatory. I've had 12 straight negative tests. I'm still here. I'm still fine, whether you like it or not. And it's not
Thankfully. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I said, thankfully, I'm happy to hear that.
But it's not just beyond we're talking about politics and their voice. It's also COVID. It is politics, whether you're going to say, no, it's just their health and protocol. It's not. It's a Democrat and liberal political agenda, whether you like it or not.
Hey, Dad, can I get a response from you on that, just regarding what Falco was talking about?
Yeah, I mean, my thing really is that if you had this big problem with politics and sports and you didn't want, players' political feelings out, you wanted to just hear their stuff, then I don't understand why you went out and supported Kyrie Irving for aligning with your political views on the vaccine. If you just don't feel like it has any place in sports, you went out and did that.
Because I see what you're saying. That's not a bad argument, but he stood up for what he believed in, which is, again, I understand that sounds like.
Didn't Colin Kaepernick do the same thing though?
Yeah, I understand that, but at the end of the day, he got his job taken away, and that is from a
Colin Kaepernick didn't get his job taken away. I mean, he got blackballed from the league. I mean,
yes, I know,
really
but
not even a question.
We're talking about Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie got his job taken away. Well, Kaepernick's. Well, I would say that Kaepernick wasn't not allowed to play. That's a little different, but I see where you're coming from. You're not necessarily wrong. His contract was up, and he never got signed by anyone. He didn't necessarily get his job completely taken away. But I understand that you could say
right.
That
he got his career ruined.
Yeah, his whole career.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's all.
I would say Colin
Colin
Kaepernick definitely trumps Kyrie at this point in regards to like the seriousness and levity.
Yeah, but Kyrie, literally is not physically. Kaepernick's allowed to play in the NFL.
By who?
Chose to sign him. Kyrie's literally not allowed by what he chose to do what's best for his body. That's the problem.
So Kyrie's not. So you're saying Kyrie's not allowed for what he did on his own doing, but Kaepernick wasn't allowed for what the owners got together and decided he wasn't going to play anymore. So it was an external thing that kept Kaepernick out of the league.
He's had tryouts with that. Yeah, the owners didn't decide to.
And Atlanta High School was his tryout. I mean, is that really that prestigious to be at a high school field throwing NFL passes and trying to make a comeback? I mean, that's the tryout he got.
People were trying to sign him in the past 3 years or something, but at the end of the day, and people try to refer to him back to the 2012 version of him, which is not going to be that. Anyone taking that too much time off of the league. We've seen the greatest athlete in the history of sports, Michael Jordan, take 3 years off. When he came back, he was not the same. Colin Kaepernick playing now, as much as people who side with your political beliefs want him in the league so bad, at this point, no, he's not talented. Regardless of politics, his political stances, his talent, there's no way I'm to believe that he's still the same caliber player he was in the league. That's what I'm trying to get at there.
He's not the same caliber guy, but hold on, just step up. He's not the same caliber player, but 5 years ago when he wasn't signed, you couldn't tell me that. You could argue all you want about him not, he cannot be this starting quarterback anymore. He's not the 2012 version of himself. But then we tried out all these quarterbacks that shouldn't even be, that really, let's be frank, half of them find themselves in the XFL and the CFL. Yeah. And then we look like Luke Falk can get a job, but Kaepernick, Kaepernick can't be a backup. We're looking at all these guys in the NFL. There are guys that are third string quarterbacks that can't even get a 42 overall rating in Madden. And here's Kaepernick without a job. It's absurd.
Real quick, I just want to actually shout out Garrison. He made a point in the comments. Kyrie is allowed to play. The Nets decided not to let him only play
he
road
can't play
games.
home games.
Yeah, exactly. So he can't
Sorry,
play
gotcha.
home games, but he can play road games. It's just the Nets have
Gotcha.
decided not to allow him. So it is not the same. They are not similar in that sense.
Gotcha. But that is the mayor of New York City is not allowing him because he's doing what is best for his body, and that is an example of dividing us with politics. Like it is do you guys do agree that the COVID protocols it is still political? Like it's very political. Like, you can't tell me it's not.
I believe the protocols are inconsistent.
Thank you.
But so I will go as far as to say that. But to say that that Kyrie and like the COVID, because I disagree with Ziggy and Jay Lex on COVID.
Okay.
But it's not dividing us. So you saying that it's dividing us, you are allowing the conversations to divide people. You know what I'm saying? That's a personal thing with you. That's something maybe you need to tackle and figure out why are these conversations dividing us? How am I having these conversations that make it so people don't want to discuss these things with me? But not everybody's going to agree on everything in life. But what we do have are facts, right? And the fact of the matter is, like I've stated continuously, that whether you want politics and sports or not, the powers that be made it so it is always as such. Mm-hmm. And people, and now that we have social media and we have a platform, you're going to get guys to speak out more and more. And again, like Riley Cooper using the N-word, that shit made me uncomfortable, right?
It should.
But Riley Cooper has the freedom to say whatever the hell he wants. You know what I'm saying? He still had a job after that, but he's not in the league anymore. But again, it made me uncomfortable, but I wasn't out here screaming at the high heavens that, you know, Riley Cooper is the reason I'm not going to watch pro football. That is asinine.
Wait.
Real quick. I was going to rebuttal. Yeah.
Quick question. Not to dive into anything, but would you personally have a problem if ESPN, FS1, or players spoke out on what happened in Afghanistan this summer? Would that bother you? Or
no? I would look forward to hearing what they have to say.
I just don't know why that if people who are pro politics in sports, why that like something like that was an issue, whatever side you vote for or not. Like that should be if you're going to talk about one issue in politics, it should be the other. If it's both sides.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Politics is multifaceted. You can't say if you talk about one issue, you have to talk about another because there's so many layers to politics. I could talk to you about, you know, defense contractors right now in Halliburton and the role they played in Afghanistan and why Joe Biden had to do what he did in the manner that he did. Or I could talk to you about the Build Back Better plan and why Joe Manchin, doesn't want to get behind it because of his dealings with the coal industry in West Virginia. It is multifaceted, it's multi-layered. So you can't say you can't talk about one thing and not talk about the other. People are interested in different things in politics, so they're going to talk about what speaks to them.
Okay. Wait, one more question. Do you believe that there should be more politics and sports in terms of the other side, conservative beliefs? Do you believe that there should be more? Not that you agree with it or not. Like, do you believe they should talk about it more like they do the liberals?
I think the voices are out there. I was double minor in poli-sci and Black Studies. So the voices are out there, right? But but they're more on the other side of the aisle, which is why you don't necessarily hear them and they get drowned out. But that doesn't mean they aren't out. I personally think that if they want to discuss it, they should discuss it in an open forum, just the way we're doing here. If they don't want to do it on this show, there's nothing wrong with that.
Why do you
real quick, Falcon? I'm sorry, Falcon.
Okay.
I have a question for you. You've asked two now. I have one for you. Yeah, for you.
Okay.
Because you just brought up, as far as conservative voices, what is a talking point that you see that would be aired out, right? Or at least in the same dynamic that we're talking about with athletes. Is there a conservative talking point that you look at that is similar, that could have a platform that you're wondering why it's not out there?
Are you asking in terms of like an issue that should be talked about?
Yeah, we talked about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about like these are like human rights issues typically that come up that we would politicize. But what is it? Because you spoke about how there are no conservative talking points that you hear out there. Talking points, voices, same thing at this point. They're synonymous. What, in your opinion, is something that you would want to hear or see that you're not seeing right now from conservative players potentially?
So anyone who's had politics talk to me, my biggest concern, which I will call myself an extreme right, is everything else I call myself moderate right. But one thing I am very far right is the COVID protocols and COVID in general. I would like to see personally more of conservative and Republican talks in terms of the COVID matter. Not necessarily anything like that is way more than anything else.
Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee, something similar to that.
Loved it. I know you guys hate.
No, not about hate or love, but that is something that you would consider is a conservative voice.
Yeah,
that is being because that's politicized, right? Like they could call 100%. That politics in sports. It came to Rodgers' doorstep and he had to answer it. Cole Beasley, thank you, Deck, another one. So these are things that are being discussed. It's not that it's not. It is clearly very much there. And you brought up COVID earlier, but I do believe that to your own admission, there are currently conservative political talking points that are being mentioned in sports. Yes or no?
Yeah, yes, but it's nowhere near the same. They're looked at like outliers. Like they're looking at Rodgers as the villain. They're looking at Kyrie Irving as a villain. Kyrie Irving's a liberal. But in terms of he had one conservative, which I wouldn't even call it. It's just what he felt was best for his body. And people, not you guys. I'm going to talk about you guys. Plenty of people are attacking him for what he did. And I understand Greg would probably bring up that it's because of his history with the media, which is true. Especially since this earth is flat. As much as we may disagree politically, nothing's dumber than saying the earth is flat. Like that's factually just incorrect. But yeah, if you want to say politics in sports, I'm a firm believer. Wait, one second, real quick. I'm a firm believer that if the primary driven narrative was from the conservative point of view, you guys would hate politics and sports, and people like Andrew and I, or people who vote Republican, would love it. That's what I'm talking. If you want to call me a hypocrite, but it's like it goes the same both ways for that. That's why.
First of all, Brandon, I know we're on the same team, but it's clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Stuck in the middle with you. All
right, but Greg, you got something?
Yeah. So you said that, I mean, it's essentially a whataboutism. Like what if that it was the other side? For the majority of my life, I'm 35, sports have been conservative.
Okay.
This is only a recent thing. And with social media, it kind of inflamed it. So to say that, sports has always been this quote unquote liberal Democrat, minefield of politics is just factually incorrect, And we talk about the unwritten rules in baseball. Those are inherently conservative. When a guy bat flips, the people freak out because that's not how the game is played. Those are conservative views. And I'm just using that as yes, absolutely.
I love the bat flip.
No, I wouldn't.
No. I'm just giving you an example of where it derived from. The people who those are conservative viewpoints from those
traditionalists people. And conservatives to me they're the same. They're one and the same. So people that try to hold on to traditions tend to be conservatives. They like the old way of things, and that is very much in baseball. So the way that baseball is played, the people that are the gatekeepers for baseball are traditionalists and tend to be conservative, which is why baseball is a conservative sport.
And Brandon, one of your main talking points here is that it's in your face. It's in your face. And again, this is the really first time in history where we're seeing this because the voices have been silenced since 1875. That is why.
I still feel like you're not. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying prior to 2020, it wasn't like in terms of a First Taker or Undisputed or any of these shows. It's not like a political topic you'll see on there, just a conservative value where everyone's all conservative on the same side. You know what I'm saying? Or, yeah, that's what
I see. Go continue, Greg.
But you also didn't have a George Floyd. You didn't have something like that woke up everyone, not just regular people, but athletes, like things that people are seeing. Then you have Breonna Taylor, right? Things that people are seeing and they want to speak on, things that happen in their communities that they now have a platform to speak on, because a lot of these guys come from these same communities. So when they speak on it, they're not necessarily speaking on it politically. They're speaking on experience. It just happens that it ties into, political talk because of how the sports and politics align, which I've went through several times.
Real quick, Deck, do you have a response to that as well?
Yeah, I think that the whole thing that you said about before 2020, with the whole political voices and stuff. I think what's fair game to really mention is that when Kaepernick came out and kneeled, there was a good amount of people in the public eye on sports networks and everything that came out and opposed him. They trashed it. They said he shouldn't have done it. They said whatever. And honestly, my first time I ever saw it, I was like, what's going on? And then I listened, and then that's kind of where I formulated how I feel about the topic. But I think it's also not fair to sit here and complain about it being the whole agenda, as you say, or like, as Greg points out, like, athletes' lives being shoved down your throat, and you wanted more like, conservative talk and stuff. When you said in your opening statement that if it was majority conservative, you wouldn't have a problem with it. So it just seems like it's not a whole political issue in sports that its issue is. It's just not that. It's that your views don't align with all of it.
I think that goes both ways. That like you guys are more for it because it's more your views and vice versa, is just what I'm trying to get at. But on the flip side, Greg, what you're talking about, that's a voice for them to hear. It's almost like, but why do you never see anyone come out on the other side? There could be I feel like there's like, whether black or white, regardless. I feel like there's still athletes who have a conservative belief on a fact of a matter and will hide their view or not speak on it because they don't feel comfortable. Like, I feel like me personally,
we spoke to two, though. We did mention two, and Aaron Rodgers and Cole Beasley. There definitely are more, but in this one case, it's not that there's none. We could stop saying it's none. There are some, especially in the case of Cole.
This percentage is drastically different, is what I'm getting at.
I'm just using two examples. What I'm saying is that there's some. That's not none.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's more. Yeah,
and that's just the COVID. They won't talk about any other issues. But there could also be listen. I have no right to say what you guys been through, and we're all different. But there are black people who say I'm not oppressed and I don't feel the same that you do. And listen, I will never understand what you guys.
Sage Steele is one of them.
Oh yeah, I just feel like there's other athletes who will feel that way and won't speak out on it because they don't want to get bashed and political agenda. And it's not about debating. I just think that there are conservatives who don't believe in that, and who even are black won't even speak on that matter because they don't feel comfortable doing it. That's all I'm saying.
So I want to do some closing for each side. So Greg, I'd like to start with you. Just a closing argument you have as we wrap this up.
I mean, in closing, I think Deck and I did a great job of making our points, making factual points, and speaking to how politics and sports are inherently tied together. And we actually saw them walk back their arguments respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, listen,
Deck,
it was a good, clean debate. I guess that's the best way to put it. But happy you guys came on. As far as my closing statements on the whole situation, yeah, they're intertwined and stuff. And I know Anderson Cooper was mentioned as he doesn't talk about the Lakers. Well, I mean, Laura Ingram's on Fox News. She coined the phrase "shut up and dribble." So that whole movement was started by her, and that's really all I got. So thank you, and thank you, Steph, for moderating as always.
Not a problem, of course.
Turtleneck Steph, that's a thing.
Andrew, I'll start with you. Your closing statements.
I thought all four of the participants made excellent points. That's it. We brought compromise. We agreed and disagreed on things, but let's go to a game together.
I like it. Brendan?
That was very peaceful, probably more peaceful than I thought. Again, thanks for having me. I'm always down to talk about whatever it is. You could love me, hate me, and people in the comments or in the group, most people hate me. There's some that love me and will be quiet about that because they don't want to be aligned with what I believe in. But listen, anything you guys want to talk about, I don't shy away from nobody. It could be 10-on-1. I'll be here. You know where to find me. Thank you again.
Nice. Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you to everyone that participated. It was a very great conversation. I think for the viewers at home, that however you felt, did you feel moved by this convo? Did it maybe move the needle for you, whether you're a conservative or a liberal? I'd be interested to know. I've seen it in the comments, been quite a few people that have been commenting on it. I thought it was a very spirited debate. And I'm thankful that both Andrew and Brendan came on for this.
Shout out to y'all for coming on.
Yes, for honestly,
I've been waiting to come on Smoke and Mirrors for such a long time. I want to come on where we can laugh at each other.
Yeah,
make it more funny.
we will definitely have you on for another segment. I'm happy that you came on for this though, and it is important. And to your point earlier, Falco, you talked about how you would bring us the most ratings. I'll say this: debates like this, spirited debates, will always bring good ratings, right? And you yourself are someone that you talked about how in the comments, people, I'm sure you get a bunch of your threads are very long with whatever you say when it comes to politics. There are people that love a good beatdown. And I'm sure a lot of people came here to see a beatdown. I'm not saying it was a beatdown, but I'm just saying people show up for a good beatdown. All right.
No, I get it.
Are you calling him Jake Paul, essentially? Is that the aura you're saying that he's bringing?
Whoa.
For somebody who wants to see his team play in a Super Bowl and lost 43-8, I take offense to that.
No, but this is great. Again, thank you all for coming on. For everyone that's watching, thank you for tuning in. This is Smoke and Mirrors. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all Hitless content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. The handle is SportsHL. Again, that is SportsHL. This is Friday, so that means that next up is the Sunday show at 12 p.m. And unfortunately, for those that enjoyed us last Sunday, we're not going to be on this Sunday.
Yo, Steph, let's crash.
It'll be if we show up, it'll be the most and the biggest ratings that Carl Coulange will ever see.
Yeah, I think you might be right though, Deck. And we have to talk about it. Off camera, we'll speak about it if we're gonna crash or not. But so y'all can anticipate that. But we have 12 p.m. is going to be the Sunday show. And get your fix. You're gonna hear from Rick, Paul, well, maybe Rick, but I should say Paul and our favorite Travis, as well as Carl on Sunday. Monday we'll be back at it again. You have your Smoke and Mirrors from 7 to 8, and then Tuesday is gonna be the Fan Zone that you know and love, 5 p.m. All right, and the Wednesday show as always. So y'all stay tuned to that. I hope you enjoyed the debate. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krobman, Greg Polius, and our special guests, Brendan Falco and Andrew Vanich. Almost dropped the ball there, but I nailed it. Again, thank you all for coming on. Everyone at home, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see y'all on Monday. Take care. Maybe Monday.